Namco wheel. Let's get to the beginning. No letters, no numbers. All right. Air Buster. Trouble Specialty Raid Unit. Looks like 700,000 other games. Horizontal shooters. So Namco, I know we're gonna see a bunch of games that I'm gonna see a bunch of games that I like. Assault. Actually, I've never seen this before, but that kind of looks cool. That might like Xevious meets Battlezone, right? That looks kind of cool. This is just R-Type or Darius or Gradius or whateverus. And I know that those games have I know that they have their challenges. I mean, all of these games have some kind of challenge. I just, or maybe it's just because I suck at dodging bullets. Speaking of which, Bosconian. I really enjoyed this game. I've played this game a lot. In fact, I go to this game, I go through MAME. I might try this one because where it goes through with the regular MAME, the hyperspin, it compresses it. It makes it like this small on the screen, and I like a bigger screen. So I go to MAME where you don't have the interface, and then it's not sexy, but it's full screen. Burning Force, Japan new version. Just doing a camera check because I am on GoPro, and GoPro loves to overheat or do battery low and all other kinds of fun stuff. Dangerous Seed. Dangerous Seed! You know what I think Dangerous Seed is? That cancerous sort of vertical shooter that I was talking about. That I was thinking about that. Another one of those games. Yeah. Dangerous Seed, okay. And that was a Namco game. Dig Dug. Anyway, I found that game on RetroUprising.com, which is a great site to get started on with MAME for free. They do take the Dig Dug 2. See, just that right there. That looks like farmland or something, and I never played that. I know I was in the middle of a story, but I forgot what it was, so sorry if I'm... Dragon Saber. Yeah. Dragon Spirit. Boy, I mean, you wonder if these games really did that well, or if they just pumped out the sequels, because the one thing about classic arcade, that whole era is it felt like years and years and years and years. When you're a kid, the time just goes by so much more slowly. So much slower. We're certainly not gonna get any diction lessons or grammar lessons here, but anyway, so time does go by so slowly. So it's like when you sit there and you look at the number of games that came out in 1 year, it felt like, it must have been like, and it also feels like everything was out at the same time. I mean, you don't when you really think about it, but it just sort of all blends into the same, memory. I gotta be careful because I hit buttons by accident here. I've got my hand just instinctively over the buttons. Galaga 88, which is a really fun game if you sort of figure it out, but then when you figure it out, it kind of drives you crazy because there's ways you can really maximize your score, but it requires you waiting for things and all of that stuff, and it has some really interesting stages. And if you take the time to figure it out, which I did once, didn't pay for it in that sense, like with quarters, but paid for it. It was part of a PlayStation 2 Namco Classics, and I got that because I wanted Galaga and Dig Dug, and those games. Didn't want Galaxian, the Jan Brady of fixed shooters, rail shooters. I don't know what back and forth shooters. We just called them back and forth shooters. That was why Gorf was so cool, because you could actually move up as well. You were on a second axis in Gorf. That was really cool. And then Tron did that as well, and so did Journey, the video game. Now a lot of, Xevious did it as well. 1940, all the 1940 games, so. Golga 13. That looks like a gun game. I was never really into gun games. They were okay, but they were also very, like, a gun game in an arcade. You had to, it was a big game, It's hard to play it so you like the games, the new games that if they were over in the corner, because then if you sucked at it, nobody would see you doing it. Like if you sucked at Time Crisis, there was no secret about it because the game was half the arcade. Mappy, never. Oh, Hopping Mappy. So is that an actual Mappy game, or is that because like Ms. Pac-Man is not really a Pac-Man game because a different company made it? King and Balloon. Very, very early, 1980. And when you listen to it, so you got balloons, and it's sort of Galaxian, it's the Galaxian sounds. I know that things were limited then in that, it was really interesting to find out how the Atari 2600, which we'd call it now, but back then it was just the Atari, how they would have sprites. Like their memory was so limited, like they had to make things out of other things because they couldn't make their own thing. Sorry, another glance to the camera because I saw something and I wanted to make sure that we're still recording. GoPro. Mock Breakers. I bet that was one of those tap on the button games. I bet the arcade owners loved those games. The one where you had to really just smash on. I mean, it was bad enough. You would wonder why the old classic arcade machines, because they were big. They were like refrigerators and they were very heavy, but they still had kick plates on them because you would get these kids going at these games. And man, you think Gamer Rage was invented with the keyboard and mouse? You're wrong. I've seen skinny kids kicking Pac-Man games like fat kids kicking the candy machine. When the snack gets started. I've seen non-fat kids doing that too. Don't get on me about that. Can't make jokes anymore. Or make jokes about me. All the jokes you want to about me. I don't care. I really don't care. Ms. Pac-Man. So, right, because Pac-Man was a different, right? Was Pac-Man Konami or I don't know. But anyway, Ms. Pac-Man is a different company that made Ms. Pac-Man. So, I think I'd rather be the company that made Ms. Pac-Man and Galaga and Dig Dug. Boy, just such great games. And then you get, and like this is Namco Classics Collection Volume 2, and I don't. Oh, that's what so I don't even know what that actual game was. It's just they're telling you that was the collection. Sometimes you go, a lot of these things, when you get into those kinds of things, they just don't work right. I know, like, I wanted to really try to play Wii Burger Time, one of the Wii versions of the Burger Time, but it knew that I didn't have the right controller, and it just wouldn't even work. And that might be a problem with the port or the ROM or whatever these things are, because, again, I don't know anything about this. I just know my shit works the way I like it, too, for the most part. Pac and Pow. Boy, and so for a company that didn't own Pac-Man initially, and they got away with Ms. Pac-Man, man, they took that license, so to speak, because man, that looks like Pac-Man, but it's Pac-Man Plus, Pac-Mania, yeah, and you can jump. Phelios, I found Phelios on RetroUprising.com. And I actually have that on my sort of favorites wheel. It's a fun game for somebody who complains about these kind of games. It is kind of a fun one. And every once in a while, there's a Space Invaders game, Space Invaders 99 or something like that. Not 99, but 93, 94. And it's like, if you could take what you would think of a Japanese arcade. I've never been to a Japanese arcade. I have been to Chinese arcades. I've been to arcades in Hong Kong in 1985. Prop Cycle, Puckman, and I forget what I was talking about, but I was in in arcades and so this Space Invaders game, if you could imagine what like that kind of like all the colors in the rainbow plus Japanese arcade, what the inside of a Japanese arcade would look like in the mid 80s. That's what this game would look like, or it looks like to me. It's just got that weird sort of frantic music going on, and just everything. It's like a nervous breakdown on a screen. Rolling Thunder. I've already done Rolling Thunder on my thing. Rolling Thunder 2. I'd never even heard of Rolling Thunder 2. Rolling Thunder 2. Hot chick on the beach. Is David Hasselhoff the boss? And then Shadowland, but the actual logo for the game on the wheel was, I'm assuming it's in Japanese. Maybe it's in Chinese. Maybe it's Chinese. I don't know. Don't know. Don't pretend to know. Sky Kid. Barnbuster for Barney fans. Barnstorming, right? Barnstorming was the Atari game. Barnstorming. I think I played that at a friend's house. Never owned it. I was not that kid. Again, I was like I am now with the Atari. I had like maybe 5 or 6 cartridges. I had the games that I played all the time, and then when I stopped playing them, I didn't hold on to them. I traded them, or you know, we didn't have like GameStops back then where you could like sell stuff, but you know, you traded with friends and stuff like that. Tekken, another fighting game that I never played. I did play games that had this kind of animation, not polygon animation or something like that. I'm not sure what you call it, but this has that kind of animation that like Virtua Tennis, maybe not. Virtua On, Tekken 2, and these machines, you would see crowds around these machines, kids going at it, you know, fighting each other and stuff. Rows of quarters along the top marquees sometimes, because kids couldn't even get into this. So many kids around them, and I never even had the desire to try one of those games. Because again, you know, you didn't have unlimited money, or at least I didn't, and every time you tried something, it cost you a quarter. You know, you didn't have, you know, to go in and have $5 in one shot to play 20 games. You know, you'd sit down now and play, you know, hit start 20 times in one sit down, and not even think twice about it. Back then, that was $5. That was, you know, that might be your allowance, or your paper route money for that week. One day, one evening, easily on a new game. Because you get pissed off, you pump those quarters in, and so more versus stuff. Versus Battle City. I wonder if that was because I just see that like Star Luster, and then it's the versus Star Luster versus Sky Kid. I wonder if that was, because I've seen a versus in another wheel, and I wonder if that was kind of like competitive series. TKO boxing. I think I tried this kind of thing, but you know, once you've done Punch Out, you've done it. You know, it's like, watch it. Is it Knockout or Punch Out? I always want to call it Knockout. Never thought about it. It's the guy where you're the green guy fighting. Wonder Mamo. Thank you, GoPro, for making it through this one without me having to start it 14 times. World Court Japan. Wow. That's some perspective there, isn't it? That's a weird perspective. World Stadium Baseball. Again, just too much goes on in baseball to even get it into a whole keyboard, I think. Xevious. So we saw the titles that we saw that I recognized were big titles, even the ones I didn't play, but didn't see as many. It's so funny how spread out a lot of the older stuff really is. You know, you think it was all Atari or all Namco, and it really wasn't. It's just Xevious 3D. Oh, that looks kind of cool. I might have to try that. And back to Airbuster.